What the hell is going on with this ad? That's my question, yes.
It's just pure kind of Alaska independence.
Welcome to a special Senate edition of Campaign Experts React. I'm Dan Pfeiffer, former communications director for Barack Obama. Winning the Senate is incredibly important. We have to give President Joe Biden a Democratic Senate that will pass his agenda so that we can undo the damage that Donald Trump has done to America. You can donate directly to the races most likely to flip the Senate through our Get Mitch or Die Trying Fund and find other ways to get involved at votesaveamerica.com. Joining me today is Joe Trippi, a political strategist, senior advisor to Senator Doug Jones, and host of the podcast, That Trippi Show.
Oh, thanks for having me with you. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this is an absurd exercise that we're roping all legendary Democratic political consultants into, so thank you for doing that.
No, I'm happy to be roped into it, seriously.
Yes. So we're going to start with an ad from Alaska Independent Senate candidate Al Gross.
He was born in the wake of an avalanche, bought his first fishing boat with a bank loan at age 14, piloted through an ocean gale with Governor Jay Hammond, father of the Permanent Fund, down below, and killed a grizzly bear in self-defense after it snuck up on him. He sailed the South Pacific, prospected for gold, and worked his way through college and medical school as a commercial fisherman. A renowned orthopedic surgeon, he left his practice to study solutions for fixing Alaska's healthcare system. Now, at a time when Alaska needs a leader who doesn't vote the party line, he's running for U.S. Senate as an independent Alaskan.
Dan Sullivan's voted with his party 97% of the time. Out here, if you can't think for yourself, you won't survive. I'm Al Gross, and I approve this message.
Dr. Al Gross for U.S. Senate. Always Alaska.
What do you think of this ad, Joe?
I love it. It's just pure kind of Alaska independence, you know? And I love the out here, if you can't think for yourself, you're not going to survive. I mean, and it just sort of paints Sullivan as a, politician who can't think for himself, votes with Trump 97% of the time. The only thing I'd change maybe is to hang a stethoscope off the doctor or something. So it's not doctor, PhD, which I know they said about it. They said that in the ad, but I'm not sure I would have done the Dr. Gross thing at the end of it. But I love it.
There's a couple of things I like about it. One, it looks like a commercial for like one of those shows on Lifetime that are about like wild and crazy tuna fishermen or Deadliest Catch or something. Like it takes you a minute to even know you're watching a political ad, which is obviously a huge advantage since a lot of people will tune out something that looks like a political ad right away. And the other thing that's interesting about that I really like is we have been in this world where people have gotten pretty good at making the viral bio spot that goes out, right? Like there was obviously a very famous one for Amy McGrath or MJ Hager, and there's been a bunch of them. But this one is that bio spot, but it's also embedded in it a pretty nasty attack at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I love that part of it.
Yeah. It's where it makes the pivot. That's the thing that I think people miss a lot in positive ads is that every positive ad has to be also either very unsubtly, implicitly or explicitly contrast. So, particularly in a state where you're going to need to get votes from the other party. Like obviously Al Gross is running as an independent, but he's going to need, he's going to need a lot of Republican votes to win.
Given the hill he's climbing, he's got to go. I think you've got to start contrast right from the beginning, and he did. I mean, it was a positive ad that did that contrast and pushed Sullivan in ways that were not slights. They were really, shoves. So I like that. And then on top of it, now you got him raising $3 million, I think, or something in the last few days. So he's going to have, I mean, the question always is after you start to do this, you're going to have particularly if you're an independent candidate, are you really going to have the resources? If they keep doing things like this, I think he's really going to be in it.
Yeah, Alaska seems like one of the few states where you have a real legitimate shot as an independent candidate, given obviously how Lisa Murkowski won on a write-in vote a while back. And I think the one thing, and I think obviously you mentioned that Senator Jones has benefited from this, is there is a tremendous amount of grassroots enthusiasm for Senate candidates all over the place, not just the top 5 races or the top 4 races. You have candidates in Kansas raising money, candidates in Georgia raising money.
I started in 1979. And this election feels a lot like 1980, a lot more like 1980 than anything we've lived through recently. And in that year, there were 3 or 4 senators that everybody thought were in trouble. And on election night, 12 Democratic Senate seats went out the window with an unpopular president named Jimmy Carter. I think we could see, I don't know that kind of number, but a number far exceeding the 3 or 4 people are talking about. And Alaska may well be one of them.
Just so everyone is clear, you are saying that Joe Biden is Ronald Reagan in this situation, right?
Well, yeah, let me tell you exactly what happened. What happened was Jimmy Carter, double-digit unemployment, double-digit inflation, the Iran hostage crisis, a crisis that was going at 462 days. I mean, they kept counting the Nightline every night. Fair or not, people thought he wasn't handling it, right? And the questions were, is Ronald Reagan too old? There were all these, is he too crazy right wing? All these different questions. And what happened was when they lost it was the first debate, when it was actually pretty tight. And then it turned out most people were watching that debate just to see if Reagan was was as crazy as the Carter people were saying, or as old and out of it as the Carter people were saying. And he just was Ronald Reagan doing his thing in that debate, and it was over. I actually think we could be literally in the same situation, that in the debates, there could be even more Republican women, younger Republicans, college-educated Republicans that are sitting there, have trepidations about Trump, and Biden could do very, very well. I think if that happens, we're going to see other Senate candidates start to close gaps in places that we haven't been looking at. I think there was a poll recently in Mississippi, of all places, that showed Espy actually within single digits.
And then Teresa Greenfield up in Iowa, which that one has been close, but always seemed Iowa's a tough state, or has been a tough state for the last 4 years. It's a really interesting way to think about it. And people don't realize enough that the vast majority of voters have not actually seen Joe Biden in person since he was Barack Obama's vice president. And so the debate audience in 2016 first debate was 84 million people, which is almost 3x what the convention speech was. And so many people will see him for the first time in this entire election and have a chance to form an opinion. So the stakes are incredibly high, obviously. Next up is a completely batshit insane ad from the completely batshit insane Georgia Republican Senator, Kelly Loeffler.
Did you know Kelly Loeffler was ranked the most conservative senator in America?
Yep, she's more conservative than Attila the Hun.
Fight China. Got it. Attack big government.
Yeah. Eliminate the liberal scribes.
More conservative than Attila the Hun.
Uh-oh.
Kelly Loeffler, 100% Trump voting record.
I'm Kelly Loeffler. I approve this message.
What the hell is going on with this ad? That's my question, yes.
No, this is one time the only time really I've been in favor of having the stand by your ad disclaimer on a positive ad. Because, I mean, normally I don't ever get it. Hey, I'm great. He's great. He did this. He did that. Hey, I approve this ad, right? So normally, why do it? I mean, everybody's figured out who the ad's for. This one, you really don't know it's not a parody until you see her at the end with Trump and say that she approved the ad. You've got two candidates trying to get further to the right from each other, her and Collins, and to get into the runoff, and they're trying to one up each other. I don't know how much further Collins. What's Collins be now?
I mean, it is, as you point out, context for our viewers. Most of the time we're looking at these ads, it's a Republican running against a Democrat. Here you have a situation where it's a top two make the runoff. So Kelly Loeffler is trying to ensure that she is the Republican who makes the runoff. She's running against Doug Collins, who is, anyone who has seen any congressional impeachment hearings also know he is bonkers. I don't want to say I'm fascinated by this ad because I'm not. I'm mostly disturbed by it. It's a little bit like, remember that Ron DeSantis ad in the Florida gubernatorial primary where he was teaching his kid how to say, MAGA and play with, the Trump blocks and all that other stuff. It is like, it's a very disturbing statement about what works in the Republican Party. Sometimes we see ads online that are from like state Senate candidates or just like people are completely or like far fringe primary candidates. Kelly Loeffler is an incumbent Republican senator who is being advised by the NRSC. Like they have done research, like they tested this ad and they discovered that this ad worked with their voters, which I find incredibly alarming just as an American in a two-party system.
If you keep having them push and really try to galvanize people into their corner, it's kind of easy to fall in the trap of lashing back or getting into an angry fight with them. I think that's why so many of the Democratic candidates out there are doing better, because of the recruitment, because of who's running. Hickenlooper is not going to lash back angrily. I mean, in all these states it's the same with Joe Biden, that sort of just calm leadership. I think a lot of our candidates and their ads and things are maneuvering through this, given what the other side is capable of doing in this spot. As you said, it's just insane that they did the testing, and this is what they thought. I mean, this is what they know. Forget about thought. They know this will work. It's crazy.
We are recording today's episode on Yale Freed's birthday. Yale, as you all know, is a producer on the show, and he has asked, I'm not kidding, Yale has asked that for his birthday, that you, the viewer, subscribe to the Crooked Media YouTube channel. It's kind of sad, but it is what he asked for. So for me, and all of you out there, happy birthday, Yale. Smash that subscribe button. Next up is an ad from the campaign you're advising, Senator Doug Jones.
As he lay dying, George Floyd cried for his mama and pleaded for his life. I can't breathe. As we witnessed his death together, the world changed. Across Alabama, folks are struggling with this, seeing injustice and inequality and wanting to see that end. We cannot let this moment pass. The road to racial justice has taken far too long, but it's a journey we must make, and we must make it together. Come join me. I'm Doug Jones, and I approve this message.
So, Joe, I want to ask you about the decision to run this ad. Like, on paper, it may seem unusual for a candidate running in a state with as complicated a racial history as Alabama to run an ad very specifically to camera on the topic of racial reconciliation and the murder of George Floyd.
The state, they know what their history has been. And so we repeatedly, I think, sort of make people scratch their heads when they see some of our ads. I mean, we ran an ad in 2017 about a battle at Gettysburg, and people thought, who would do that? We were always running ads that tried to stress the need to come together and what we could accomplish together if we did, that we could find common ground, that we had more in common than what divides us. There is a majority of Alabamians that want to come together on racial healing. Back in 2017, there were a lot of, we noticed, I think we were the first to notice it, that there were a lot of Republican suburban women who were already having trouble with the division and the chaos and sort of worrying about it. There's more of them now.
I really love this ad. I mean, in part, I just love Doug Jones. I just think he is the exact right person you want in public service, someone who's running in a red state but is not running from who he is. Like, we loved him in 2017, loved the way he stood up in the Senate, and it's why, Crooked Media is trying to raise so much money for Doug Jones and the other senators through our Get Mitch Fund. But I also like it because what it's doing is taking on an issue head on. Race undergirds everything in politics, particularly races in the South, and to just come out and take it on is it's the right way to do it. Not enough campaigns do it. So I was very excited. And also, a lot of the people who watch this show, because it's on YouTube, are often very critical of sort of typical ads, political ads, right? That they all look sort of alike. This one is typical in the sense that it's to camera. But I'm curious about your decision to do this directly to camera. There's no B-roll intersection or anything else. It is about as straightforward as can be. And I assume that was an intentional strategic call.
The best thing we've got is Doug Jones. I mean, who he is and him to camera has always been the best way to get people to actually listen to what he's saying. I mean, I think in our case, the more we add the other scenes and stuff and B-roll and things, the more it distracts from what he's trying to say. In 2017, when I first sat down with him, he's like, this is going to be about finding common ground, bringing people together on racial reconciliation, on these issues that are splitting us apart. I don't, that's what I'm doing. I mean, one thing we noticed in 2017 was how, people would just tune in. I mean, they literally, in focus groups and things, people would just stop and actually watch what he was saying. And so I've always believed it's him.
Joe Trippi, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you and Senator Jones. And if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Super fun to do this. Yeah. Thanks for watching these ads and videos with us. If you have anything you'd like us to break down, let us know in the comments. See you all next time.